Good morning. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome. Good morning, Amor. Hi from New York. Good morning, Instagram. Good morning, YouTube. Good morning, Facebook. Welcome, everyone. All right. Good morning, Elma. If you're first time tuning in, let me know where you're tuning in from so I can give you a shout out. My name is Aisha Chidole. If this is your first time tuning in, I'm an immigration lawyer. I'm here in Atlanta, Georgia. I represent clients all over the United States with their immigration matters. We handle family immigration, humanitarian-based immigration, like VAWA cases, U visas, trafficking cases, and also consular processing for family, fiance, and marriage-based as well. If you want to schedule a consult, you can call us 407-995-6567 or 678-325-1037. You can also send a WhatsApp to 404-333-8751. Andreas from New York, good morning. First timer from Texas, Ainde, good morning. Universal Elite, good morning from Atlanta. Oh, you're right here in my backyard. Eves from Michigan, good morning. And Dad JJ from Chicago. And Unstoppable from Brooklyn. And more is asking, was wondering what would be the fate of a U.S. citizen trying to file for their spouse in any of these 39 banned countries? When you ask the question, what would be the fate of the U.S. citizen? Nothing. Like, what do you mean by that? I don't understand the question. Like, what are you asking? Are you asking what will be the fate of the people you're applying for, or how, like about the delay or the ban? Like, I'm not sure I understand your question. So if you can just maybe rephrase your question. Sonison says, God bless you again and again for all you do for humanity. Thank you so much. Jem from Huntsville, good morning. Babatunde from Maryland, good morning. As a U.S. citizen, what would I need to petition for my parents in Africa? Well, as a U.S. citizen, you have to prove that your parents, essentially, and you'd have to first do the petition for alien relative here in the U.S. And if that is approved, then you move over to the National Visa Center. Once you get documentary qualified, then they can schedule them for consular processing. So that's how the process works. But again, you have to be a U.S. citizen. My VAWA has been pending for 30 months. Do you think I'll be getting an approval anytime soon? Khadijah, I don't know the answer to that because I don't know your case or anything about your immigration history. If you received any RFEs or if you're from a country where there's, extensive review. But for most people, your VAWA process is taking about 3 years right now. So at 30 months, you're still at about 2.5 years. So it is possible that you will hear from USCIS this year. Okay, so you said you're from Jamaica, no RFE. So I can't tell you if your case will be approved or not because I don't know what you submitted in your application. That said, if USCIS needs something from you with the request for additional evidence, it will most likely come at some point this year because you're already in that window of review. And if they don't need anything from you and they just want to approve you, you're in the window sometime, maybe this year, hopefully. Because, as I mentioned, I think I mentioned this yesterday, the cases that we're seeing with decisions or any kind of request for evidence now are cases from 2022. So that's kind of how they're moving down, trickling down. I don't know if I've seen any of the 2023s unless they were the expedited ones, but, I don't remember all of these dates offhand. I'd have to check. Habeen from North Carolina, good morning. Oyin says, as a Nigerian, is the current hold on citizenship, does that also apply when you join the military? Right now, there's a USCIS adjudicative hold. So it's any case that is brought to USCIS where there's an adjudicative hold to decide what additional security measures and screening that they want to do. So yes, that would apply as well. Good morning. Huma is asking how long does valid case take? I just answered that one, so hopefully you heard that. Good morning. Child over 21 filing for a mother. Will work permit be issued, or is that also on hold? Lady Steph, the answer is going to depend on what country you're from. Are you from one of the 39 countries? If you are from one of the 39 countries that have the adjudicative hold, and you are in the United States, and your child is a U.S. citizen filing for you, you will get your receipt, but they will hold an approval of a work permit as well as an approval of a green card. That's exactly the things that the memo says, that they will hold a decision on it right now. So the work permit would be included because that's a CO9 work permit. It's not eligible for an exemption. I received a stay away order that expired. Will it be an issue when applying for citizenship? What is a stay away order? Are you talking about like what, a restraining order? Like, is that what you mean? Yeah, if you can just give me a little bit more details. You guys today, you're not being very clear with your questions. Trying to file for my dad who lives in Bahamas. How long will the green card process take and what's the cost? It's different for every country. We'll have to see what the timeline right now is for Bahamas. But for most consular processing cases, if you're a US citizen, I always say plan for 18 to 24 months at the very minimum. There are other countries where I would say that the wait time is longer, but Bahamas is not one of those countries. So I would say plan for 18 to 24 months. Usually the part in the US could be anywhere from like 16 to 13 months. The part at NVC and consular interview could also be 6 to 13 months. So that's where we kind of, get the timeline from the average. Can someone that has an I-751 extension on a green card travel abroad and come back? Yes, as long as you don't have a criminal record. At this point, or you don't have like anything pending, with the current administration, it's just safer not to if you fall under that. But otherwise, if you've got an extension, you can travel back and forth. You want to be mindful though, if you applied for a removal of condition based on filing with your spouse, and then you and your spouse maybe are no longer together, these are potential red flags that could cause you to be called for secondary screening and challenged, in there. So you want to just be mindful that you don't fall under that category. Coach Arsban, good morning. Stylish Rochelle, good morning. Big Baby Chi said, yesterday on my way back, my phone was searched. Be careful. And I am a US citizen. Well, so there you go. You're not, they can search anybody's phone. So be very mindful once you're entering, like the rules that apply once you've entered the United States don't apply when you are going through customs and border. Even as a US citizen, they can search your phone. I mean, you can refuse to unlock your phone, but they can also seize your phone. So it's just be mindful. Because obviously we're in a very interesting time. Is Cameroon among the 39 countries? Let me check. I actually just printed this out because there are 39 countries and sometimes I can't remember all of them. So let's see. Cameroon. No, Cameroon is not on the 39 countries. I'm asking about the fate of their spouses in any of those banned 39 countries. Their spouses are just going to have to wait until they lift the ban. So even if you put in your application, they're not going to approve them for any case until they lift the ban. As I've said continuously, the order says that every 6 months they're going to look or review the ban to decide who they're going to remove, or if they're going to remove anyone from the list or add someone else to the list. So in the previous administration, not in the previous administration, the previous Trump administration, when there was a ban on, I think it was only about 6 countries, not 39 countries, what ended up happening is for people that were subject to that ban, they weren't able to finish their process until that administration left office, because that administration never lifted the ban. So that is a possibility of something that can happen. It's also a possibility that ban could be lifted. Sometimes I know you guys are asking the questions because you're kind of confused and you're wanting to get answers. Like, none of us lawyers know the answer, because we don't know when they're going to take off the ban or not take it off. It's just a question of, if you're in the process, you keep yourself in the process so that when the ban is lifted, you're not one of the people that become severely backlogged. I do know that with some of those countries that were initially in the first Trump 1.0 ban, they were just recovering from the backlog, of the ban that happened in 2019, 2020. So this is basically reverting back, and you can fully expect it could take 3 to 4 years when these bans go, just to because of all the backlog of people that they're going to have to process. So that's as much as I can tell you. Can anyone apply for an EAD application along with a VAWA application, or you have to wait for VAWA approval? The answer depends on what you are filing with your VAWA application. If you are eligible for an adjustment of status at the time you file your VAWA application, and I can go into those nuances later, it's not everyone that's going to be eligible for adjustment of status at the time they're filing the VAWA application. If you are eligible for adjustment of status, meaning eligible for an I-485 at the time of your VAWA application, then you can file a work permit application in addition to the I-485. If you're not eligible, you don't need to file a work permit, but you can specifically request in your VAWA application, in your I-360, that you would like an employment authorization card to be granted to you if they approve your VAWA. But understand that if that is the only option you have, you will not get that until your VAWA is approved, which could be 3 or more years later. So when you are eligible, you want to file the adjustment at the same time so you can get your work permit quicker, because when you do it that way, then you're looking at 4 to 11 months. Now, there are going to be a category of people right now, I haven't checked the visa bulletin for February. I've just had so much going on, as you guys know. If you are married to like an LPR, like a green card holder, there are a few things, because the visa bulletin is moving up very quickly and cases are becoming more current. Even if you, let's say, filed for VAWA last month, and you weren't eligible to file an I-485, there is a good chance that in the next couple of weeks you'll be eligible to file an I-485, because the dates are moving back just by 1 month. And hopefully that makes sense. I know the visa bulletin is a little complicated for a lot of people. Oh, they've released it, so I can tell you guys right now what we're looking at. So yes, exactly. So if you know that you filed your VAWA application before January 22nd, 2026, so January 22nd has not even reached, it's coming in like a week. But basically, anyone that has a receipt notice for either a VAWA application or an I-130 filed by their green card holder, just for a green card, your priority date, if it's before January 22nd, 2026, you'll be eligible to adjust or to get a green card to put a green card application, I'm going to give you a few caveats here. A green card application after February 1st. The eligibility will be automatic for you if you're a VAWA applicant. If you are a marriage-based applicant, this is very, very, very important, the distinction, so pay attention. If you are a marriage-based applicant and your green card holder spouse filed for you, and you have an I-130 receipt any day before January 22nd, 2026, you'll be eligible to file an I-485 adjustment of status application, an I-765 work permit, and an I-131 advance parole for travel permit only if you meet this condition. This is very important, so let me say it slowly. You must be in legal status, meaning you cannot have overstayed your immigrant visa at the time it comes. You cannot have entered without inspection. You cannot have worked under the table. If you meet all of those requirements, you will be able to adjust your status while you're here in the United States. So that is like a nuanced differentiator between spouses of green card holders versus if you were a U.S. citizen. You know, if you were married to a U.S. citizen, then you don't really care about the priority date, as long as you entered with inspection. I mean, there are a few visa exemptions that if you come in through, you can, but for most visas, you will be able to adjust. So if you came in with a normal travel visa, like a tourist visa, B1, B2, you will be able to adjust if you were married to a U.S. citizen, and you don't have to worry about the visa bulletin. So hopefully, I know the visa bulletin is very, very confusing to so many, even, you know, attorneys. So hopefully that's clear to you. Someone is asking, your question is, how long does it take to get VAWA receipts now that VAWA files go to different addresses for different states? In the office, when it first started, we were seeing like 4 days, 5 days, 1 week, 2 weeks. Now I would say we're seeing about 3 to 5 weeks is what we're seeing. And this is going to be for anything submitted after September 2025, where they scattered all the different locations where you can send it for receipt purposes. So again, if you submitted yours before this date, you most likely had a longer time before you got your receipt. So because I know some people in the comment are going to be like, well, it took me like 3 months or 4 months, but that's what it was before that time, which none of us have control over. That's a USCIS issue. Okay. Someone is saying, answer my question. My brother had an issue with his status. He was charged with assault. He's a green card holder, but the case was dismissed and he finished his 6 months probation. How long does it take to file for citizenship when someone has an issue with his status? He was charged and the case was dismissed, you know, after his 6 month probation. I would actually need to see what he was charged with. 6 month probation doesn't mean that your case, that means he was charged with something, you know, if he got probation for it. But typically good moral character is 5 years. That's typically good moral character. You know, so if he just finished it, you want to count back from the date of dismissal. But again, I would need to see what exactly the offense was to be able to give you an accurate assessment. Can a 601 be done in the United States? Yes, we do 601 in the United States all the time. A 601 is different from a 601A. A 601 is to correct misrepresentation, fraud, waivers. Sometimes it could be used for mental illness. You know, it could also be used for exemptions from certain vaccines and all of that stuff. Sometimes we will file it already, like if a client comes to us and they tell us, you know, I misrepresented myself, you know, and obviously all the evidence is clear that they misrepresented themselves, we will immediately add the waiver, you know, asking for forgiveness for that waiver. If you're talking about a 601A a waiver that is based on you entering into the United States without inspection, or you being a spouse of a green card holder and has overstayed and you're not eligible to adjust your status. With that, you're basically asking for a 601A waiver to be approved, to showing hardship to your qualifying relative, to allow you to then go back home, get interviewed, and return back. I got to jump off, got a meeting. If I didn't get to answer your question, schedule a consultation. Our number is 407-995-6567. And WhatsApp is 678, WhatsApp is 404-333-8751. We have another number. It's a 678 number, but I always forget it unless it's going through the ticker. Okay, it's 678-3251-037. So you can schedule a consult on any of those numbers. And I'll be happy to discuss with you. We also have very good attorneys that work at the firm they're also available to do a consultation and are more than capable of answering any of your legal questions. I hope you guys have an amazing day, and I will talk to you guys later. I probably will be on tomorrow. I'm not sure, but if I'm going to be on, it will be at 10 a.m. Eastern tomorrow. All right, guys, bye.